So I'm halfway through writing the intro for this seasonal video when I realize I completely forgot about the season's biggest show, One Punch Man Season 2. Yes, while seemingly every AniTuber was tripping over themselves to write its obituary, it somehow slipped my mind. But you know, I can think of no better way to describe spring 2019 in anime than me forgetting its hottest topic. The whole season has kind of flown under the radar. After the initial wave of One Punch Man takes, and with one of its strongest series stuck in Netflix jail, there's not been a lot of conversation around spring. The general consensus being now is a good time to catch up on that one backlog show you've been putting off for months, or worse, years. Why are you looking at me? But that's not to dismiss this season wholesale. I may only be following half as many series weekly in spring as each of the last 2 seasons, which personally means I can actually keep up to date for once, nor are most of these 6 any true Anime of the Year contenders. However, from top to bottom, if you take an overlooking view from the back end, you might be surprised what you find there. Yes, that was just a terrible setup for Sadhas On My butt puns. I'm an adult. No, I don't have some scorching One Punch Man take to throw in the fire. In fact, I don't have any comment at all. If only there was somewhere else you could find one. But I do have a collection of shows highlighting that while spring might not be a stalwart season, it's still worth your time. Before we get into the new work spring has to offer, I gotta mention Attack on Titan Season 3 Part 2. The return to Shiganshina is a moment we've been waiting for practically since its fall, and thus far it has not disappointed. Between Armin's time to shine and the revelations sure to come, this is shaping up as the series' strongest arc yet. I'm always impressed with how Attack on Titan stages its battles, not just in the action itself, but the tactical fight underneath. It was funny watching both this and Game of Thrones final season on Sundays and seeing far better developed battle strategy out of Titan. Let's just say the scouts didn't forget about the colossal Titan. Attack on Titan's never gonna resonate with me like more involved or personally meaningful stories. There's just not enough to chew on. But that's also not what it's trying to do. Its strength is in its exhilarating action and intrigue, and that it does extraordinarily well. Switching gears completely, spring 2019 offered a throwback for fans of a classic manga, reverse harem rom-com Fruits Basket. In my early anime fandom, I watched an alarming amount of shoujo-y romance and rom-coms, yet I somehow never got around to Fruits Basket. When this reboot was announced, the initial hype wave it created went right over my head. I don't have that nostalgia factor, neither for the old anime or the original manga. However, it's my understanding this shiny new Fruits Basket is getting the Brotherhood treatment, after the first anime surpassed the still ongoing manga at the time and took a bit of a detour at the end. With no wistful lens to filter this classic through, does it stand the test of time? Yes and no. There are definitely some moments I feel Fruits Basket shows its age. It's got some pretty traditional lines and ideas, something that might turn people off. However, past that is a remarkable, heartfelt message of home and finding your place with people who have your best interest at heart. I'm a sucker for found family stories. The idea that home can come from anywhere and anyone. There's something really beautiful in that. More than 20 years since its first release, the message behind Fruits Basket will never get old. The latest, and given recent news, hopefully not last anime from Studio Ufotable. Next, let's look at Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba. I don't have much to say about Demon Slayer's story. It follows a fairly typical shonen track from young kid thrust into action to training arcs and beyond. The characters are likable enough with motivations you can easily get behind, even if they aren't all that noteworthy, though Nezuko exudes must-protect energy. Aww. It takes a pretty whirlwind pace thrusting the plot forward, mostly to its benefit. The real draw for me, though, is the production, and to that end, the story serves it well enough to keep me engaged. I love the aesthetic. The CG backgrounds blend exceptionally well with the character models and action animation, and of course the effects work is top tier, as is typical of Ufotable. This is some of the best compositing you're going to see all year. Demon Slayer is by no means the most ambitious narrative on this list, but a show doesn't have to be a thinker to be good. Entertaining spectacle with a beautifully portrayed world, that's enough to make Kimetsu no Yaiba one of spring 2019's highlights. Not sure about this pattern of man-eating monsters followed by delightfully cute girls we've got going on here, but next is the unfortunately named Hitori Bochi. It's a super saccharine show about a girl with social anxiety attempting to make friends with her new classmates. I say attempt because it doesn't exactly go well most of the time. Hitori Bochi feels like the anti-Watanabe. Gone is the soul-sucking secondhand embarrassment reminding you of that gremlin you once were, replaced by something a bit more rose-tinted. I appreciate how it doesn't trivialize Bochi's legitimate anxieties and making light of these scenarios, rather portraying her earnestly. From the creator of 2018's Mitsuboshi Colors, it shares the same style, but where Colors occasionally got too bogged down in its childish nothingness to the point of growing dull, Hitori Bochi is more consistently engaging. Yes, it relies on common anime comedy visual cues and cutaways. You won't find the inventiveness from last season's Kaguya-sama. It might even be that seasonal show I enjoy in the moment, but largely wipe from my mind in 6 months' time. However, that's not to say I don't think it's worth my time. I appreciate watching it week to week more than I would outside the seasonal grind, because sometimes you just need a palate cleanser like Bochi. Now we enter my frontrunners for the season's strongest standout, both from two of the anime industry's most famous directors. First, Shinichiro Watanabe's Carol and Tuesday. For a show about music, they really went all out in building that aspect as much as possible. Easily one of the most musically spectacular shows I've seen. We're only 8 episodes in, and we've had multiple albums worth of absolute bangers already. I've had the OP and ED on repeat since the full versions dropped the other day. The production team brought on dozens of international vocal artists and composers to really make it shine, and it shows. Carol and Tuesday's guerrilla performance and their first live show are already 2 of my favorite scenes of the year, thanks in large part to the enrapturing vocals of Nai Brax and Selena On. But what about the rest of the show? The series is at its best when we're just spending time with these 2 girls. They have such charismatic, inviting personalities that light up every scene they share. However, the overarching story elements aren't working as well for me. Watanabe works better in the episodic format when the focus is small, centralized on the budding relationship and day-to-day moments between its core characters, not the pyrotechnics or half-baked reality talent shows. It may have started losing a little bit of steam for me after its stellar start, but the music is enough to carry it through any slump. I'm eager to see more of Carol and sometimes Monday, other times Wednesday, and their rise to stardom. Our last work is a doozy. The latest from acclaimed director Kunihiko Ikuhara, Sadhas On My. Whew, where to begin? No doubt the most ambitious show in spring. Nothing I can say will adequately prepare you for Sadhas On My, especially if this is your introduction to Ikuhara. Longtime viewers will know Ikuni is one of my favorite directors, with Revolutionary Girl Utena my second favorite anime of all time, and Mawaru Penguin Drum not far off. But both of these series had multiple cores to work with, where Sadhas On My has a speedy 11 episodes. A light run Ikuhara's stories might simply be too ambitious for. At points it feels like it's missing the time to breathe Utena and Penguin Drum had, where the characters could be filled out as individuals more than thematic propellers to drive the story to its ultimate endpoint. Nevertheless, it's exceptional at that. Sadhas On My presents a fascinating look at human connection, our relationships, our hidden desires, the lengths we go to protect them. All 3 of its disaster children provide an interesting spin on this. Kazuki's self-hatred prevents him from forming connections. He can't accept love from others until he accepts himself. Toi's self-sacrifice pushes him to toss away the connections he might have to cling to the ones he's afraid to lose, throwing away his desires, while Enta's jealousy leads him to sabotage the one connection he holds closest. And of course, as always with Ikuni works, there's a dive into the way certain societal systems seek to control us, co-opting the desires of oppressed peoples for their own gain. I love how much detail Ikuhara puts into the physical space of his works. The world really feels lived in, bearing an aesthetic resemblance most similar to Penguin Drum. A lot will come down to the end. Ikuhara series deliberately cloud the information presented in their earlier portions in order to give you the tools to piece them together in the latter half. As such, it's hard to judge right now, but if Sadhas On My sticks the landing, we might be looking at spring's best Keto. You know, I could end this video with some flowery comment about the season as a whole, but why do that when I could just play the anthem for Bochi's School of Laughs instead? Try getting this out of your head. Peace.